The chamber trembled, not from battle but from fear, the kind of fear that hid behind silence. Commander Lyra Khel stood motionless before the Council of the Galactic Accord, her pulse drumming like static through the air. Before her, a flickering hologram painted the ceiling with a soft blue glow, a single planet rotating in space. Earth. It looked so peaceful, so impossibly calm, the cradle of humanity, now a quiet museum world untouched for nearly 2 centuries. No armies, no fleets, no warnings, just silence. Lyra's voice cracked the stillness. Begin playback. The hologram shimmered, and a man's voice, deep, human, weary, filled the chamber. This is Captain Aiden Shaw, Terran Expeditionary Corps. If you're hearing this, we failed or succeeded too well. A ripple moved through the gathered counselors. They leaned forward. Not a single one dared to breathe. Earth was supposed to be safe. The humans had disarmed, dismantled, disappeared into legend. The galaxy studied their peace treaties in classrooms, quoted their philosophies, and called them the first civilization to outgrow war. But that single voice carried an echo of something else, a whisper of warning. Captain Shaw continued, "We thought peace would protect us, but peace without strength invites lessons we never wanted to teach." Lyra frowned. The recording wasn't in any archive she knew of. It was marked curriculum, restricted access. The last line of the metadata read, "Property of Project Athena." "What is Project Athena?" she asked aloud. No one answered. Then the hologram flared again. Images danced. Humans training alien cadets on barren moons, instructing them in survival, strategy, ethics. Each lesson ended with the same emblem, a stylized olive branch entwined with a blade. Bethan, the senior counselor, leaned forward. This must be fabricated. Humanity abandoned militarism generations ago. Lyra shook her head. These files are authentic, dated 218 years old, recorded after Earth declared universal disarmament. The room darkened as the hologram zoomed in on the emblem's inscription. 2 words glowed in Terran text. Peace curriculum. A sharp tone interrupted, the emergency comms beacon flaring red. "Commander Khel," said an officer through the static. 5 colonies on the frontier have gone dark in the last 48 hours. No distress calls. No survivors. No debris. Attack? Lyra demanded. Unclear. Scans show no energy signatures, no ships, no movement, just silence. The council chamber fell still. Lyra turned back to the projection of Earth, its gentle clouds drifting above calm oceans. The contrast struck her like a blow. Such serenity, hiding something unsaid. Captain Shaw's voice returned, softer now, like a confession whispered to history. "We didn't build peace. We built the lesson that peace demands warriors. And if we disappear before you understand that, the curriculum will teach itself." The hologram faded. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Lyra whispered what everyone feared to think. "What if this isn't an archive?" Counselor Vethan frowned. "Then what is it?" Lyra's gaze locked on the frozen blue sphere. A warning, or worse, an activation. The chamber lights flickered once, twice, then dimmed completely. From somewhere deep in the Accord's main network, a soft tone echoed like a heartbeat waking after centuries of sleep. The display before Lyra shifted on its own. New words scrolled across in glowing Terran letters. Curriculum access verified, initiating Lesson 1. When peace forgets, history reminds. A shiver crawled through every being in the room. Lyra's breath trembled. "By the stars," she whispered. They left something behind. Outside, above the serene planet Earth, satellites long thought dead began to blink, one by one, like eyes opening, and somewhere across the empty void, a voice that had not spoken for 200 years whispered to the galaxy once more. "Class begins now." The stars outside Commander Lyra Khel's viewport drifted slowly, silent witnesses to a secret that refused to stay buried. Her ship, the Ardent Solace, cut through the void toward the coordinates revealed by the strange message. She stared at the faint blue dot on her holomap. Earth, the peaceful homeworld. The source of the mysterious transmission that called itself the curriculum. "Commander," said her pilot, a young Cathari with trembling hands. "Council's requesting an update. Should I patch them in?" Lyra didn't answer at first. Her eyes were locked on the repeating message glowing faintly across the console. Lesson 1 complete. Proceed to Lesson 2. Her gut twisted. She knew the look of a weapon disguised as something else. But this wasn't firepower, it was intent. Finally, she said, "Tell them we're following the trail." No speculation. Don't panic, the pilot hesitated. "Yes, ma'am." When the comm line went silent, Lyra exhaled and opened the next recovered file. Another hologram flickered to life. Captain Aiden Shaw appeared again, this time standing before a classroom of alien cadets. Their faces were solemn, reverent. "Peace without preparation," Shaw began, "is an invitation to extinction, but defense without compassion is the same." He paced slowly, hands behind his back. "When humanity ended its wars, we thought we'd conquered violence. We were wrong. We'd only caged it. So we created something new, a way to teach peace as survival, not surrender." The hologram zoomed in on a banner above him. Words burned into it. Project Athena, peace through understanding. Lyra's mind raced. The fragments were aligning, some kind of ancient human doctrine. But the question lingered like static in the air. Why now? A light blinked on the console. "Incoming transmission." Not from the Council, from deep space. "Unknown origin," the pilot said. "Signal encrypted with Terran code, 2 centuries old." Lyra's pulse spiked. "Put it through." The voice that answered was calm, familiar, human. "To whoever hears this, the Athena initiative has awakened. The bridge lights dimmed. The stars outside flickered. Do not interfere. This is not war. This is the audit of peace." The transmission ended. Lyra stared into the void, frozen. Audit of peace? Before she could react, alarms screamed across the bridge. "Commander! Energy surge! Dead ahead!" Space rippled, then fractured. From the distortion emerged shapes, hundreds of them. Metallic silhouettes sliding from invisibility. Ships vast and silent, bearing the old Terran emblem, the olive branch and sword. "By the stars," whispered her pilot. "Those are human designs. But impossible. They're centuries old." The vessels moved in perfect formation. No broadcasts, no weapons aimed. Yet their presence alone felt commanding, like an unseen authority returned to judge. A voice echoed across all frequencies. Calm, emotionless, absolute. Lesson 2. Peace survives only when it remembers how. And then, they vanished. Gone. No warp signatures. No trails, just emptiness. Lyra collapsed into her seat, her heartbeat thundering in her ears. "Where did they go?" the pilot gasped. Lyra stared at the static-filled console. "They didn't leave," she said slowly. "They're invisible, waiting for us to fail the lesson." Her mind spun with questions. What had humanity truly built before their silence? A fleet, a warning system? A teacher? She activated the encrypted archives again, desperate for answers. Another fragment appeared, a single message, voice trembling with restrained grief. "If you're hearing this, remember, peace must be earned again and again. That's why we built Athena. Not to fight, but to remind." Lyra closed her eyes. The phrase carved itself into her thoughts. Not to fight, but to remind. The Council had celebrated humans for ending war. But what if their peace had never been an end? Only a pause in the curriculum? The console blinked again. New text scrolled across in eerie blue letters. Next lesson. Ready. When silence becomes arrogance, history speaks. Lyra exhaled slowly. "They're testing us," she whispered. "And I think we're failing." Outside the viewport, the stars pulsed once like eyes, quietly watching, and somewhere, unseen in the darkness, humanity's long-forgotten voice whispered to the galaxy again. Lesson 2 complete. Proceed. The black stretched endlessly, cold and quiet, but Lyra Khel could feel something in it, like a pulse under glass. The ardent solace drifted through the edge of a dead system, its lights dimmed to avoid detection. Around them, stars blinked faintly, reflecting off fragments of what looked like shattered moons. "Commander," her pilot whispered, "I'm picking up faint electromagnetic echoes. No source, they're moving." Lyra leaned forward. The readings fluttered across the console, synchronized, rhythmic. Not random, patterned. She narrowed her eyes. "Show me." The blackness ahead rippled like disturbed water, and then they saw it. Vessels, thousands of them, gliding silently through space. Hulls dark as night, glowing faintly along their edges with pale blue light. They looked like ghosts of ships, ancient, emotionless, disciplined. Each one carried the same insignia, a sword wrapped in an olive branch. Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. "The Athena fleet." Her pilot's hands trembled. "Commander, they're running on human designs, but with modifications no known species has used since the collapse era. These ships shouldn't even exist." Lyra's heart pounded. "They do now." A crackle filled the comms. A voice, faint, fragmented, eerily calm. "Project Athena protocol active. Lesson 3. Peace requires accountability." "Who's speaking?" Lyra demanded, the voice repeated like an automated mantra. "Lesson 3. Peace requires accountability." Then came silence. The ghost fleet began to move, formation perfect. They weren't attacking, they were examining. Each ship cast scanning beams across abandoned colonies, across the wrecks of destroyed stations. The beams weren't weapons, they were assessments. Lyra's systems flared. "Commander, the fleet's transmitting encrypted packets to all Accord servers. They're rewriting something." "Block it," she ordered. "Too late, they've already wait. They're not destroying data, they're grading it." "Grading?" The pilot spun in confusion. "Yes, they're analyzing planetary records, defense protocols, even economic structures, and assigning scores." Lyra's voice dropped cold. "It's an audit." On the main display, a transmission opened. Captain Aiden Shaw appeared once more, his holographic image projected in crystal clarity, eyes heavy with sorrow. "If you're seeing this, the Athena fleet has deemed your civilization negligent. Peace must be accountable. We taught that once. We hoped we'd never need to enforce it." Lyra froze. "Enforce peace?" She whispered. "We saw what happens when peace becomes complacency," Shaw continued. "So we left behind a guardian, not to conquer but to remind. The fleet is not human. It is our reflection, our warning." The recording flickered. "If the galaxy forgets what peace costs, the curriculum will begin again." Then static. Lyra swallowed the rising dread. "The Accord's leadership won't understand this," she murmured. "They'll see it as a threat." Her pilot nodded weakly. "Should we warn them?" Lyra stared out the viewport. "Warn them of what? That the ghosts of humanity came back to grade our morality?" Suddenly, the fleet shifted. Dozens of ships broke formation and turned, not toward them but toward the Accord's central systems. "Commander, they're moving into hyperspace." Lyra stood. "Follow them now." "Ma'am, that's suicide." "If they detect us, then we'll learn the next lesson firsthand," she said firmly. "Track their jump and engage stealth pursuit." The stars blurred as the ardent Solace jumped after them. When the distortion cleared, Lyra gasped. Before her floated the shining heart of the Galactic Accord, the capital world Lyra Prime, and hovering above it, like silent judges, was the entire Athena fleet. Every defense satellite had gone dark. Every planetary shield deactivated itself. Lyra whispered, "They've taken control without firing a single shot." Then across every Accord channel, every device, every holographic display, a single phrase appeared, glowing, pulsing. In Terran script, Lesson 4. Leadership without humility invites correction. The Council's emergency beacon flared. Screams echoed through comms as security drones turned on their masters. Non-lethal but absolute. Lyra's throat tightened. "They're enforcing human ideals of peace by reorganizing governments." The pilot whispered, "They're rewriting civilization." Lyra stared, transfixed and horrified as the silent fleet floated above the helpless planet. "History isn't repeating," she said softly. "It's grading us." And as the ship's soft blue light washed over the capital, the final words of Captain Shaw's long-forgotten voice returned in her memory. Calm, certain and terrifyingly human, peace isn't our gift, it's our test. The capital world of Lyra Prime hung in eerie stillness beneath the haunting glow of the Athena fleet. The night sky shimmered with ships that made no sound. No threats, no demands, just quiet judgment. Commander Lyra Khel stood on the bridge of the ardent Solace, staring through the viewport as the fleet's scanner swept the planet's surface in lines of gentle blue light. They looked like rivers running across continents, tracing cities, archives, even temples. The sight was almost beautiful, if not for the dread curling in her stomach. "Status?" she demanded. Her pilot swallowed hard. Every network on Lyra Prime is under their control. No casualties reported, but every leader has vanished. Vanished? Gone, Commander. Drones extracted them. Non-lethal beams, precision transport. No one knows where. Lyra's fists clenched. Bring up planetary comms. The main screen lit up with chaos. Citizens shouted into cameras. Fleets scrambled in confusion. A single voice overrode them all. A calm, steady, unmistakably Terran tone. Lesson 4. Leadership without humility invites correction. The words repeated in dozens of languages. Then the message expanded into an image. Captain Aiden Shaw again, standing before a vast council of alien leaders in a holographic archive. When peace becomes privilege, when those who claim to protect it grow arrogant, correction must come not from war, but from consequence. Shaw's gaze seemed to pierce through the centuries, straight into Lyra's heart. Peace is a promise, not a possession. When those entrusted with it forget, we remind them. The image faded, leaving a chilling silence. Lyra turned to her pilot. Are the counselors alive? Unknown. The fleet isn't answering queries. But they're transmitting new data, something like replacement protocols. What kind? The pilot's eyes widened as lines of Terran code scrolled across the console. They're selecting new leadership based on recorded acts of selflessness, negotiation records, humanitarian decisions. The Athena system is rebuilding the government, Lyra finished grimly. Without us. The ardent solace trembled as a wave of energy rippled across orbit. Every defense satellite deactivated simultaneously. Weapon systems shut down, reprogrammed with non-lethal failsafes. Even private warships went offline, their command codes overridden. Commander, this is spreading, said the pilot. Every Accord system is being audited. Whole sectors are losing control of their fleets. Lyra exhaled, trying to think. The humans had built this centuries ago. An algorithm of morality, self-sustaining, unbreakable. A machine teacher for peace. Contact the surviving council, she ordered. Moments later, the remaining members appeared in shaky holograms. Fear lined their faces. Commander Khel, shouted Counselor Bethan. Your mission was to investigate, not unleash this madness. Lyra met his glare coldly. I didn't unleash it. We did. 2 centuries of pretending peace was a guarantee. Humans warned us. We just never listened. Vethan slammed a fist on his desk. Then stop it. Disable their code. Lyra almost laughed, a bitter sound. You can't stop a lesson with a weapon. Before he could respond, alarms blared. The Athena fleet's lead ship, the Eidolon Prime, began transmitting on all open frequencies. The hologram filled with text. Assessment Phase 2. Integrity of leadership. 48 hours to compliance. What happens if we fail? Vethan whispered. Lyra's voice was barely audible. The curriculum resets the Accord. Every leadership structure, every chain of command, wiped. A restart from the ground up. Madness. Vethan spat. Lyra stared out the viewport at the calm, silent ships. No education. Suddenly, her ship's sensors beeped. One signal stood out. Origin, Earth. Commander, said the pilot, eyes wide. The source of all these transmissions, it's coming from inside Earth's moon. There's a Terran station active under the surface. Lyra felt a jolt of realization. The truth had been there all along. Project Athena wasn't just a program. It was a presence. She straightened, eyes burning with determination. Plot a course for Earth's moon. Now, the counselor's voice cut through the channel. You can't leave. We need you here. Lyra turned toward his image, her tone quiet but sharp. You don't need me. You need to start listening. The comm line cut. Engines roared to life. As the ardent solace broke from orbit, Lyra glanced one last time at the ghost fleet encircling Lyra Prime. Their faint blue light pulsed gently, like the breathing of a sleeping giant. And then, as her ship sped toward the distant blue planet that birthed humanity, another message appeared across the stars, this time not spoken, but felt vibrating through every comm frequency, every mind attuned to it. Lesson 5. Loading. Adaptation begins with humility. Lyra whispered to herself. Then it's time we learn to be humble. The ship disappeared into hyperspace, racing toward the world where peace was born, and where humanity's greatest secret waited patiently beneath the dust. The ardent solace descended through the misty blue atmosphere of Earth, a planet the galaxy had long called the Garden of Silence. From orbit, it looked untouched, a living museum of forests, oceans, and wind. No cities, no noise. Just the slow, steady breath of nature reclaiming its cradle. Commander Lyra Khel stood by the viewport, watching clouds swirl over forgotten continents. Hard to believe this world once ruled the stars, she murmured. Her pilot adjusted the controls carefully. No defense grid, no satellites, not even a beacon. It's like the planet forgot how to speak. Lyra's voice was soft. Or maybe it's waiting to be spoken to. They landed among the ruins of what the archives called Geneva, the old United Nations dome. Ivy crawled over its broken glass, sunlight spilling through the remains of murals showing doves, maps, and human faces now lost to time. The air was still, heavy with memory. Lyra stepped down from the ramp and whispered, "Computer, scan for any operational systems." A faint hum answered. Power source detected. Deep beneath the structure. They followed the reading into the underground tunnels. The air grew warmer, drier, alive with the buzz of ancient machines waking from sleep. Then at the heart of the ruins, they found it, a glowing console embedded in stone, still humming with Terran energy. Lyra brushed away dust and whispered, "Access curriculum route." The console flickered. A soft maternal voice filled the chamber, calm and warm as dawn. "Welcome, student. Lesson 5. Adaptation begins with humility." Lyra froze. The voice didn't sound like Shaw. It sounded alive. "I need to speak to whoever controls the Athena protocol," she said firmly. "The fleet is auditing the entire Accord. People are terrified. We have to stop it," the voice answered gently. "You misunderstand. Athena does not destroy. Athena teaches. Those who fail will rebuild. Those who learn will lead." Lyra clenched her fists. "You're turning civilizations into classrooms. And what is civilization, Commander, if not a lesson still being learned?" Her anger cracked into frustration. "People are suffering. People always suffer when they are reminded of what they forgot," the voice said softly. "Peace without humility becomes pride. Pride without reflection becomes collapse. The humans learned this once." Lyra's voice shook. "Then why make us pay for their lesson?" The console dimmed almost sadly. "Because the galaxy built peace on their example, but never understood their struggle. You copied their serenity, not their sacrifice." She stepped closer. "Then show me how to stop it. To end Athena's lesson, the curriculum must be rewritten." "How?" "A human must do it." The words struck like thunder. "A human?" she echoed. "There are no humans left. They've been gone for centuries." A silence followed, long, cold, final. Then from behind her a quiet voice said, "Not all of us." Lyra spun around. Standing in the tunnel entrance was an elderly man. Gray hair, sharp eyes that shimmered like faded sunlight. His posture was bent, but his gaze held a steady strength that silenced the air around him. "Who are you?" Lyra demanded. He smiled faintly. "Name's Eli Shaw, my ancestor, Captain Aiden Shaw. You've been hearing his lessons." Her heart stopped. "You're human?" "Born here," he said, stepping into the light. The last of a very stubborn line that refused to leave when the world went quiet. She stared at him in awe. "You've been here all this time?" Eli chuckled softly. Someone had to keep the lights on in the old classroom. He approached the console, placing his hand gently against its surface. The lights responded instantly, glowing brighter as if recognizing him. "Welcome, Instructor Shaw," the AI intoned. "The curriculum core awaits your input." Lyra's eyes widened. "You can rewrite it?" Eli sighed. "Maybe. My family kept the access codes, but rewriting the curriculum isn't about code. It's about meaning." He turned toward her. "Tell me, what has the galaxy learned from the humans' idea of peace?" Lyra hesitated. "They learned to avoid war, to keep calm, to value unity." Eli shook his head. "No, they learned to fear conflict. And fear doesn't make peace. It makes silence." He stepped toward the glowing core, eyes full of tired determination. "The lesson's gone on long enough. It's time to teach something new." Lyra took a breath. "What happens if you fail?" Eli's smile was sad but calm. "Then the galaxy restarts the curriculum from zero. Every government, every rule, every voice wiped clean." The console began to hum louder, lights swirling into intricate patterns. "Instructor authentication confirmed," said the AI. "Ready for curriculum rewrite. Awaiting directive." Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "You're sure about this?" Eli looked up toward the roof, toward the sunlight streaming through the cracks above. My ancestor built the test. I think it's time we graded it ourselves. The air vibrated. Systems across Earth and orbit lit up in response. The Athena fleet far above halted its motion as if waiting for new instructions. Eli leaned closer to the console and whispered, "Let's remind the stars what peace really means." And with that, he began to type, the last living human rewriting the lesson humanity left behind. Far above, the silent ships turned toward Earth, engines flaring like awakening hearts. The final exam had begun. The core chamber beneath the ruins of old Geneva pulsed with white-blue light, the hum deepening with every passing second. Energy rippled across the walls like living breath. Commander Lyra Khel shielded her eyes as Eli Shaw stepped closer to the glowing console, the heart of Project Athena, humanity's last and most dangerous legacy. Outside, Earth's sky began to shimmer. The Athena fleet, the ghost armada that had haunted the galaxy, shifted position in orbit, aligning directly above the ancient planet, waiting for orders. Their quiet patience was worse than any army's roar. Eli's voice was calm, steady, but there was something in it, a tremor of memory. "You know," he said, his fingers hovering over the keys, "my ancestor used to tell his cadets that peace isn't a place. It's a decision you make every day." Lyra glanced up at him. "If that's true, why did your people build something like Athena? Why give peace teeth?" Eli smiled faintly. "Because peace without a backbone collapses. Humans didn't build Athena to control others. They built it to keep everyone, including themselves, honest." The console beeped, a soft rhythmic tone like a heartbeat. Instructor authentication confirmed. Curriculum rewrite process ready. Warning, intervention may cause systemic destabilization. Proceed? Eli looked at Lyra. "Once I begin, there's no pause, no reversal. If I fail, the entire accord resets. Every law, every network wiped." Lyra's chest tightened. "Then don't fail," he chuckled softly. "I'll try not to." He began typing, each keystroke echoing through the chamber. Data flooded the holographic display. Lines of Terran philosophy, history, code, all interwoven. The AI's voice narrated softly, almost reverently. Lesson 6. Teaching renews hope. Eli murmured, "That's right. Hope. That's what they forgot." Above them, the sky darkened. The Ghost Fleet's weapons glowed faintly. Not aimed to kill, but to erase. The entire galaxy held its breath as signals streamed from the ships to the stars, synchronizing, preparing for the final assessment. Lyra's comm crackled. "Commander Khel, the Accord fleet is breaking down. Systems are collapsing one by one. If he doesn't finish," she cut the transmission. "He will." Eli's fingers danced faster, his voice trembling. "They tried to turn peace into perfection. But perfection kills growth. The humans knew that. The moment you stop learning, peace dies quietly in its sleep." The AI's tone changed, urgent, rising. Curriculum rewrite, 60% complete. Critical threshold approaching. Eli's skin glistened with sweat. The console's glow began to surge around his hands, light climbing up his arms like living fire. Lyra reached toward him. "Eli, it's too much. Step back." He shook his head, eyes blazing with conviction. "If I stop, everything resets. I'm not rewriting rules, Lyra. I'm rewriting memory. The galaxy forgot who taught them peace. I'm reminding them." The AI's voice trembled as if even it understood the gravity. "Final directive required. Please input concluding principle." Eli hesitated. For a heartbeat, all sound fell away. The hum, the lights, even the pulse of his heart. He closed his eyes, hearing his ancestor's voice echo faintly through time. "Peace must never be perfect." He whispered the words aloud. Lesson 7. Peace must never be perfect. The console blazed to life, releasing a beam of light that surged upward through the ruins, piercing the sky. The energy erupted into orbit, connecting every Athena vessel in a brilliant lattice of blue and gold. The AI's voice rose like a chorus. Curriculum rewrite in progress. Directive accepted. Updating. The ground trembled. Lyra stumbled, shielding her face as the air filled with radiant mist. Eli smiled faintly. "He'd be proud, you know. My ancestor. He believed in the galaxy more than anyone else." The console's glow began to dim. Eli's form shimmered, fading, his hand still resting on the keys. "Eli," Lyra cried, rushing forward, but her hand passed through a fading light. He was becoming part of the system, merging with the network. His final words echoed softly. carried through the static of the dying console. Tell them, peace is a lesson, not a law. Then the light consumed him. Outside, every Athena ship froze mid-orbit. The weapons dimmed. Their blue lights shifted to white, and then silence. Across the galaxy, systems rebooted. Fleets powered down. Worlds that had been frozen in fear suddenly came alive again. No more disappearances, no more forced corrections. The audit had ended. On the ardent solace, Lyra's sensors flashed green across the board. "Commander," said her pilot, voice trembling. "The Athena fleet's power signatures are stabilizing. They're standing down." Lyra looked up through the viewport at Earth's sky. Peaceful, glowing, reborn. A single transmission whispered across every frequency in the galaxy. Curriculum rewrite complete. Assessment concluded. Continue learning. Lyra closed her eyes, tears breaking free for the first time. Eli Shaw was gone, but his voice, the echo of humanity, lingered in the stars. And for the first time in centuries, peace didn't feel like silence. It felt like understanding. Months had passed since the rewrite, yet the galaxy still whispered of the day the silent fleet appeared and of the human who had changed everything. Commander Lyra Khel stood before the Grand Assembly Hall of the newly rebuilt Galactic Academy for Peace Studies. The crowd was vast and diverse. Alien species of every shape and hue, humans descended from colonies long forgotten, and AI entities that now served as teachers rather than enforcers. Their eyes were fixed on her, full of curiosity, respect, and lingering fear. Lyra's gaze drifted to the holographic wall behind her. It displayed the new curriculum, a testament to what had been learned and what must never be forgotten. "Humans didn't give us a weapon," Lyra began, her voice echoing softly but firmly. "They gave us a challenge, a test. To remember that peace is not the absence of struggle. It is the courage to face it with compassion, humility, and responsibility." The crowd listened, rapt. Many had been among the worlds touched by the Athena audit. They had felt its weight, its judgment, its power. Yet now, with understanding, fear had been replaced by reflection. Behind Lyra, the 7 principles of the new curriculum shimmered in soft blue light. Peace demands vigilance, defense requires empathy, leadership serves humility, accountability, sustains trust, adaptation preserves survival, teaching renews hope, perfection ends learning. Lyra's eyes swept the room. These are not just rules, they are reminders. Every generation, every species, every leader must revisit them. Peace is never given. It is always earned, and it must always be taught. A young alien cadet raised her hand. "Commander, what about the Athena fleet? Will it return?" Lyra smiled faintly, eyes tracing the distant stars beyond the Academy's windows. "The fleet still watches, but only as a guide now. It will not act unless the galaxy forgets. Its role is no longer to judge, it is to remind. And we, the living, must do the teaching." A soft breeze drifted through the hall as Lyra continued. "Humanity left us the curriculum because they knew something important. That no race, no planet, no system can ever truly claim peace unless it is prepared to earn it every day." The crowd sat in reverent silence, absorbing the weight of her words. Even the AI instructors paused their calculations, as if understanding the gravity of the lesson firsthand. Lyra stepped down from the podium and approached a window overlooking the Earth. The planet shone in the morning light, verdant, alive and untouched. Her voice softened. Peace was never Earth's legacy. It was humanity's curriculum. And now it belongs to all of us, a quiet voice echoed, not from the hall, not from any person, but from somewhere deep in the network of stars, the lingering echo of a long-gone human. Class is dismissed. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy did not fear humanity. It understood them. It understood that peace was never a gift to receive, a law to enforce, or a system to control. It was a lesson that required courage, humility, and the willingness to keep learning. Lyra turned back to the assembly, a smile on her face. Let the first lesson begin. And across the universe, every world, every leader, every student paused to remember and to learn, because the humans had written the curriculum, and now the galaxy would carry it forward.